About 400 specially invited guests, including business tycoons, politicians, peers and people from the world of entertainment, have gathered tonight in central London for the annual Asian Who's Who Awards. The event marks 35 years since the idea was born for a guide to the great and good of the Asian community. Well, our correspondent Sangeeta Maiska spoke to some of those who attended the event at the Dorchester Hotel in Park Lane.
Well, as you can see from behind me, the awards part of this evening is now over, but I'm pleased to say that many of the dignitaries are still here as they tuck into their meals. I'm now going to introduce possibly the most title live of the night as I introduce you to Lord Dalakia, Baroness Flather and Lord Billamoria. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. First, if I turn to you, Lord Dalakia, what is the importance of the Asians Who's Who Awards?
I think two things. First of all, we identify people, ordinary people in our community who have provided such a wonderful service and achieved so much. So it's ordinary people achieving extraordinary things in life, being recognized as role models, but more important than that, youngsters looking at us, looking at the people who achieve these honors will say, this is something that I can achieve for myself.
But of course, Baroness Flather, you pointed this out yourself. Whilst we have a large number of male role models within the Asian community, still a challenge to get those women up on stage winning those awards.
Well, I'm hoping that things will start changing. I'm doing my best, but I don't know whether the boys are doing their best.
But what is the problem?
The problem is that it's endemic in our culture, that women are not treated as equals. I mean, for example, if I speak for myself, I'm treated much better by the white society than I am by the Asian society, which saddens me. This year I got the award from the President of India, the Overseas Indians Award, but all these people have already got it. I was almost the last one to get it, but eventually I did get it, and there have been only 3 women in 7 years who got that award.
So plenty more work to do.
It's sad for me.
I'd like to widen the conversation out a little bit to talk about the forthcoming election and of course the subject of immigration. Everybody in this room more or less has emigrated, has come to Britain and has started businesses and made a name for themselves. But as we head into an election year, it seems that all of the main parties at least are trying to outdo one another on the crackdown on immigration. Lord Billamoria, if I turn to you, is that of concern to you or is this a debate that we should be welcoming?
I think what we've got to realize is how much over the centuries immigration has enriched this country. I mean, just look at this evening where we're celebrating the Asian Who's Who and the Asian of the Year. The Asian population makes up just 2% of the population of the United Kingdom, and yet we contribute more than double that, more than 4% to the GDP of this country. So when you've got a community that really aspires, really achieves, the role models you have in this room over here, looking ahead, I think in my lifetime, we'll see a nation as Prime Minister of this country.
Why then is there a fight, do you think, to be seen as the toughest party on immigration?
I think you saw two things. One, you saw the emergence of British National Party in politics, and they are the one who've been running about condemning about immigration, talking about people coming to this country, and the political party are frightened about what is happening in some of the areas because British National Party have won a lot of council seats and have 2 members of European Parliament. The other reason is that you have white working class people who feel that they have been ignored at the expense of newcomer coming to this particular country. And politicians have now realized that they mishandled immigration because, as my friend Karan Billamoria has said, we contribute over £6 billion to British economy every year. That is the contribution we make. Look at the health service and other areas. And this is something that government's got to recognize.
So Baroness Flather, yes, Baroness Flather, very quickly then, what is your prognosis for race relations for the future?
I don't really want to talk about race relations. I would like to stick to the immigration issue because I think...
Although there is clearly some racial tension developing over the immigration issue.
Yes, but the reason I think it is a very much more complex issue is because all communities are not performing at the same rate. Now, it's the Indians who contribute the most taxes, they are most in employment, they're least in the prisons, and all that sort of thing. But we have areas of Midlands where there are ghettos of Pakistanis where you would not even find a single white person, and you would not find people learning English. And that worries me because they have large families and these children are going to grow up. And it's a worry to me.
I'm afraid I have to stop you there, but I think this is certainly an issue that will be discussed at many of the tables here tonight, and one that we could talk about for quite some time to come. Lord Dalakia, Baroness Flather, Lord Belmoria, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Oh, Sangeeta Maiska there, frozen in her prime.